Good morning, Mr. Dare.
Morning, Luke.
Thank you very much for being in the spotlight this morning. So,
Uh,
well, you're used to it by now. We'll jump straight in. So, everybody that knows Owen, which is probably quite a lot of people, but for those who are listening that don't, obviously, you've proven that you can talk the talk and walk the walk. But could you give us a bit of a background on yourself? Introduce yourself. Tell us where you come from, where you've been, and where you are now, basically, for your viewers.
Absolutely. For those who don't know me today, my name's Owen Dare. I'm a carpenter joiner by trade. Initially, Citizen Guild time served, Masters Crafts and Advanced Crafts. From there, I run building sites. Worked on building sites as a joiner carpenter. From there, I went into joinery shops, working from shop floor manager up to director of a very large window manufacturer for 20 years, Mumford and Wood. And then decided to leave and go on this venture with Luke and the Joinery Network, helping the industry to come into the 21st century, really, but also to become compliant.
Excellent. That's a pretty swift.
Well, you wanted it sweet.
Yeah, but obviously, you've got a great energy in the industry, very passionate, very knowledgeable, and unloading that to the industry is invaluable, to be honest. So let's jump straight into the Accoya. So the Accoya journey, we actually started on the Accoya journey before the Joinery Network was even born, before you and I had even met, Owen, to be honest. And we had a couple of miserably failed attempts with when BJ Waller were just teaming up with lights on their old Thermotech light system, I believe. So just explain a little bit about the journey with Accoya that we've been on with the Joinery Network. Warts and all, failures, but obviously let's focus on the recent success because that's what we all want to know about. But just explain about the material and what we've been through.
Okay, so anybody who's worked with Accoya, which is quite a few, knows that it is quite brittle. It can be broken into quite easily because it doesn't have moisture in it, and if you haven't got moisture in timber, then it tends to be easily attacked and it can crack and split a lot easier. The Thermotech window that Lights tested was down to several things. Obviously, the timber being quite easy to break in, but also the locking system not being supported enough. And not understanding the characteristics on the material. Then we went down the venture, obviously, with the Joinery Network, we've done a box ash window, we've done a casement, we've done several doors, French doors mainly. Again, the locks were not adequately being supported. So cutting tools are one of the biggest problems. Standing knives, they can do a lot of damage with a standing blade. If they can cut away enough material so screws and casings are not supported, then the material will fail. And that's been the main problem, really. And we have failed, like I say, on several. So we parked all of that initially and went to European redwood because we needed to get stuff through the market. That started all passing on the same design process that we had previously. So it clearly shows the difference in the species types. But we are now on this venture, obviously, of retesting and getting some success.
So the recent success, what have we got through? Just explain what we've actually done recently.
So the first great success, even though we had 3 failures on the French doors previously, we did change the lock. So we had a single-handled locking system initially because we didn't have that within the range. So we decided that's the one we wanted to add so that we had 2 locking solutions. The problem with that locking casing is it sits outside the timber a little bit, so it's not being supported, which means when they put the mechanical loading testing on it, which is 4,500 newtons of pressure, it was giving way through that mechanical loading because the screws were allowed to disengage. The lock, because it wasn't supported, come away from the timber, and we had failures. So now we've gone on to the double handle solution, which is the FGTE from Winkhouse. We have 2 chute bolts at the top, primary leaf and slave leaf, 1 chute bolt at the bottom. We've increased the rail sections from 94 to 110. On the panels, still raised fielded, insulated Accoya panels, but we put a belection mold, a molding around the edge of the panel where it's the smallest cut, because when we do a raised fielded panel, you can get 6 mil of timber depth. With insulation, that's easier to cut through. So those are the main things. The frame was increased from 57 to 68. which then gives us more strength with the screw fixings into those substrates for hinges and locks and so forth. And to be honest, it went through reasonably unscathed. There's a couple of squeaky bum moments, but most of the time it was okay.
Excellent. So obviously, like you've just explained, there is a couple of tiny little tweaks that we've done from the difference between a redwood and a Accoya, but you are a stippler for making sure that what we test is actually a manufacturable product. It's not over-engineered. It's going to be efficient to make. So well done, Mr. Dare. We got there, and it is great for us, obviously, and Accoya, that we can now collaborate and move this on. But so tell us a little bit about PAS 24 2022 testing process, how it's changed since or compares to 2016.
Okay, so there's been some minor changes on windows, basic manipulation changes for trying to get keeps and screws out of keeps, very small changes with screwdrivers, nothing that's really going to worry what we're doing now, and nothing really that I would think would worry with Accoya. It's mainly on the doors that the biggest changes are, even though they're still, again, quite small. It's the lock casing change that's the biggest issue. So they're now attacking the casing of the lock where the cylinder sits from the back of the material. So if you've got rebates or glass rebates, they can cut away the timber to get to the lock casing. If they can get a screwdriver into the back of the lock casing, they can pop the rivets, which then disengages the lock. They're allowed 3 minutes for that attack. On the Accoya one, I think we had about 20 seconds left. And they're telling us that if they had another 20 seconds, they probably would have got through, but 20 seconds is good for us.
Yeah. Well,
so that's the main changes. Everything else, the mechanical loading, the cutting and everything is still the same. I have been told that 2022 is going to have an update as well. John Cole knows about the update. I think this is mainly down to the plastic industry, not so much us. Because they are using blowtorches on locks now to melt plastic. So great for us, not so great for them. But other than that, that's pretty much what the changes are.
Excellent. Thank you. So the plans for the Joinery Network's upcoming sort of testing program or schedule, both with and without Accoya, just fill the guys in what's in store for 2024.
Well, we're working quite closely with Axis at the moment, and they've been very helpful. So I think the main reason we're going to pursue Accoya is because if we go with the least dense material, then we can cascade to the denser material. So if Accoya passes, so with redwood, so with pine, so with sapellis and oaks and all of these things. So the next door we are testing is single doors. Naturally, if we've got through the double, which is harder than single door, fingers crossed, we should be a lot easier. That should be done in the next probably 6 to 7 weeks. Then we're going to go on to, we've got bifolding door. We're working with Centaur. I'm teaming up the Centaur ourselves and Axis to get bifolding doors through. That's going to be a bit more of a challenge because there's lots of door leaves, but we're going to be using the Centaur's new concealed locking system so that we can add that to the range. That's and then we're going to, which is going to be great. And then we've obviously got to go back and do the window, potentially the casement, because then we've got casements doors of all ranges, all under the banner. So that's really our program for the year. The timescales of those, hopefully by sort of September, we'll have all of these done. But obviously, if we get any failures in that point, then obviously that might put us back a bit. But I think the casement would be the biggest challenge, to be honest, because it's small substrates. So that's what we're planning to do. Unless any of our customers desperately need something else. I know people keep asking about sliding doors. We don't get enough uptake on sliding doors at the moment, but if we do, then we will look at that. But it's a very big test, a very high cost, round about £6,000 for the test, and then £4,000 or £5,000 per door times 3, which is quite a costly process. So if we're going to do it, we need enough people interested in it.
Sure. Okay. Well, we'll get the feedback, and if we need to do it, we'll do it. So, obviously, the last but not least, obviously, the opportunity now that this opens up for us and Accoya working together is huge. The market wanted this for a long time. So, where do you sort of see this going? Obviously, the testing, but I think, what do you see the benefits for Accoya, benefits for us?
Well, I think the benefit, I mean, obviously, Accoya has the benefits of being dimensionally stable, which is great for joiners because they don't have to go back and readjust doors and so forth. The benefit for us is that we can open up a wider audience because we're not just pigeonholing ourselves down to one type of species. So we've got all of the species covered under one banner. The other thing we've got to think about is obviously, as we know, PAS 24 is going to go over to the refurbishment market in the very near future, which means all joiners of any guys, whether it's a small joinery shop or a big manufacturer, are going to have all of their products with a higher security level. So it's huge that we all come on board with this and all support it. If you're going to go down the route of testing yourself, that can be very costly. Why not come and be supported by an agency or a solution that's going to be testing all of the time to the latest legislation, so that you stay on board and you don't have to worry about what changes within legislation. So it's going to be a big change for the whole industry.
Excellent. Well, I think we've done awfully well there, Owen. We're just at 11 minutes, and for me and you talking together, that is
I was worried about this because I talk on for England, as you know. So
well, thank you very much, and we'll go back to the floor. Anyone with any questions about the Accoya testing or anything else for that matter, jump on Owen's table and drill his knowledge. Thank you very much. Cheers, Owen.
All right, thanks, Joe.